Hello everyone, hope all of you are safe and healthy. Welcome to IASbaba's Rapid Revision Series for Prelims 2021. This is session 77 and day 107. And the topic we have is Indian history, that is basically the medieval India. So these are the hot topics we are going to discuss. The first two topics, they go with the guessworks as usual. And then the third one, Mamluk and Khilji dynasty. And then Tughlaq and Sayyids. Then Lodis and Mughals. So here we discuss Babur, Humayun and Sher Shah Suri. And then Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. Then later Mughals, that is the Firoz Shah, Sayyid brothers and others. And then literature of ancient India, that is the authors and book names. Then literatures of medieval India. Then the Rajputs. Now coming to the first one, the MCQs. With reference to foreign direct investment in India, which one of the following is considered as major characteristics? So friends, this is a conceptual question. And before getting confused by reading the options, we will conceptualize what is this FDI. Friends, in FDI means a significant shareholding has to be taken up. And here they have the opportunity to own the company and also to take part in the administration of the company. So now we will look into the options. It is the investment through capital instruments, essentially in a listed company. Friends, essentially in a listed company. So this is bit extreme, and essentially word, it is not fitting in the FDI, which is open to all companies. So we will discard option A. Then it is largely non-debt creating capital flow. Yes, FDI is non-debt creating capital flow, because once if you give the money, then you are not getting the money back, rather you are getting a share of the company. So hence B can be a formidable option. We will keep for further consideration. Then it is the investment which involves debt servicing. Friends, no debt servicing is made, and it is only ownership that is given. So C we will discard. And then it is the investment made by foreign institutional investors in government securities. So friends, here the foreign institutional investors, they invest in the foreign portfolio investments, not in the FDI. So we will discard. So option A is correct. A simple question, no more happiness in answering this. Then come to next one. With reference to international trade of India at present, which of the following statements is or are correct? Coming to statements, India's merchandise exports are less than its merchandise imports. Friends, it sounds moderate, so we will keep it for further consideration. Then India's imports of iron and steel, chemical, fertilizers and machinery have decreased in the recent years. Friends, here what is the recent years? 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, 3 years, it is not given. And it is very impractical that iron and steel, chemical, fertilizers, machinery all decreasing at once. So if any one of them, if it increases by 1%, then the statement will go wrong. So here advantage of minusculity we will use, and the difficulty of proof ensures that this statement has to be essentially wrong. So we will search for those options wherein 2 is not there. So here A and B will be eliminated and C and D will remain. And then come to next one. India's exports of services are more than its imports of services. So 3 is there in both C and D. So we shall not waste time in seeing the statement 3. Then fourth one, India suffers from overall trade or current account deficit. Yes friends, while dealing with the RCEP, we got to know that India has the current account deficit and trade deficits with majority of the nations in the world, because India is a consumer economy. So in average or in overall, India is having the trade deficit or current account deficit. So this is a moderate and also correct statement. So we go for that option which has 4. That is option D will be the correct option here. Then come to the next one. The term West Texas Intermediate, sometimes found in news, refers to a grade of, friends, we know that it is crude oil. Friends, the value of all the 3 crude oils, they fell on the wake of COVID-19. So on that occasion it was in news, and it was in news for more than 3 to 4 weeks in together. So we should not feel any difficulty in reading the newspaper in those 3 to 4 months, and if you have read in any one day in those 3 to 4 months, you would have got what is West Texas Intermediate. So once again, an easy question if you have followed the newspapers regularly. So no prize for guessing and no happiness at all for hitting this a correct answer. Then come to next one. In the context of Indian economy, the non-financial debt includes which of the following? Friends, here this non-financial debt, it is very informal. It is not present in NCERTs and neither it is present in the conventional books. So friends, it is difficult to interpret what is a financial debt, non-financial debts. So some of them, they interpret non-financial debt as those debts which are taken for non-financial purposes, that is for consumption purposes, not for lending it to others. But now look into the options. When a bank purchases treasury bills, then it is a financial debt. But however, when a common man purchases the treasury bills, it becomes the non-financial debt. So treasury bills can be both financial and non-financial debts. And then amounts outstanding on credit cards, So friends, if you take the overdraft from the credit cards, then you can use it for lending it to others as well. So here also there are confusions that whether it is non-financial debt or financial debt. So this question is based on the understanding of the examiner rather than the basic understanding of overall experts inside the economics domain. So there are more chances of you going wrong in these questions. So better leave it. So friends, the indigo plantation like questions and this non-financial debt like questions, even if you leave, no worries for that, and make sure that even by leaving these questions, you will manage to attend at least 92 to 93 number of questions. So do it, and we will not answer this, and we will wait for the UPSC to give the answer keys and then look into it and then follow the trend. Then come to next one. In India, why are some nuclear reactors kept under the IAEA safeguards while others are not? Friends, again a conceptual question. Why nuclear reactors? They have to be kept in the IAEA safeguards, that is the International Atomic Energy Agency safeguards, because they have to scrutinize whether the nuclear reactors, they are enriching the uranium for the weapon grades or for the civil electricity grades. So friends, in that perspective, we will look into options. Some use uranium and others use thorium. Friends, both uranium and thorium, they can be used for enriching the weapon grade nuclear elements. So there is no use in differentiating between uranium and thorium. Then some use imported uranium and others use domestic supplies. Yes friends, the imported uranium, they already get certified by the IAEA, and the domestic supplies, they are not certified, and there are more chances of these domestic supplies being used for enriching the weapon grade uranium or thorium. So in order to curb this, those reactors which are using the domestic supplies, they will be under inspection of the IAEA, and those which are using imported uranium, automatically they will be using the certified uranium, so they need not be under surveillance. So according to that, option B sounds to be formidable. Then some are operated by foreign enterprises and others are operated by domestic enterprises. So friends, this IAEA, it has nothing to do with the ownership, it has only to do with the enrichments. Then some are state owned and others are privately owned. Once again, ownership doesn't matter at all. Even if it is privately owned or even if it is state owned, then IAEA can impose sanctions. So most of the Iranian nuclear reactors, they are state owned, but still they are under IAEA surveillance. So by seeing all these things and by using technological common sense, option B sounds formidable. So once again, an easy question, not so difficult. So this is all about today's guesswork. Then come to next one. Mamluk and Khilji dynasty. Friends, here we discuss almost all the medieval India and some of the events which are probably important for prelims. We will not take up those which are not important, like the expeditions, wars, wages that are being taken up. So all those things we don't take up. Only those facts like administrative, art and culture and other geographical facts we will take up here. So now we will begin with Qutbuddin Aibak, the founder of Mamluk dynasty. He started construction of Quwwatul Islam Mosque in Delhi. So he started the construction, he didn't complete it. So Quwwatul Islam Mosque is worth remembering. Then he began construction of Qutub Minar in Delhi. So even Qutub Minar goes to his credit. Then he was also known as Lakh Baksh because he was very generous. That is the giver of lakhs. He gave lakhs and lakhs of money to the poor and needy people. Then next ruler was Iltutmish, and Iltutmish, he succeeded after Qutbuddin Aibak and he introduced Iqtidari system. And then he shifted his capital from Lahore to Delhi. So long back, the Mamluk dynasty, they also ruled Delhi, not just the Tomars who were the founders of Delhi. Then in 1221, he stopped an invasion by Chengiz Khan. So Chengiz Khan, he attacked India during Iltutmish's rule. So that fact is worth remembering. Then he completed the construction of Quwwatul Islam Mosque and the Qutub Minar. So he completed. So Iltutmish completed and Qutbuddin Aibak, he started these two. Then he introduced two coins of the Sultanate, that is the silver tanka and copper jittal. So these two currencies, they have to be remembered. Then Razia Sultana, that is the only female ruler of this Mamluk dynasty. So her rule was short termed, but still the ascending of the throne after Rukunuddin Firoz Shah and her marriage to Malik Altunia. So these are the two facts, and friends, almost all the male nobles, they backstabbed her, and that is why her reign was short lived. Else she would have come up with good developmental activities in her kingdom. Then come to next, Ghiyasuddin Balban. He carried military and civil reforms in administration. Then he even demanded that people prostrate before the king, that is Sajda and Paibos, bending before the king and kissing his feet. So all these were enforced in the kingdom to maintain the superiority of him. Then he had a spy system to keep his nobles in check. Yes, spy system was present even in Balban's rule. Then he introduced Persian festival Nowruz in India. So this Nowruz, it goes to his credit. Then come to next, the Khilji dynasty. So this was started by Jalaluddin Khilji, and he was also called as Clemency Jalaluddin, as he followed peace and wanted rule without violence. So this non-violent rule of Jalaluddin Khilji becomes important. Then Alauddin Khilji, the second ruler, he impounded pious grants and free grants of lands. So he was also a generous man, and he gave several grants for charity, and the lands also were given for grants. Then he banned social parties and wine. So he was an austere king, and he banned social parties and wines, merrymaking, etc. Then he introduced a permanent standing army. So there was personal bodyguard, that is the permanent standing army of his own. Then he started the system of branding of horses and descriptive roster. So friends, the horses were branded, and the soldiers, they were given their own rosters, and the name calling and roll calling was done frequently. So this branding of horses is called the Dag system. So that is worth remembering. Then he fixed the prices of necessary commodities which were below the normal market rates. So fixation of commodity prices was also important policy of Alauddin Khilji. Then he strictly prohibited black marketing. So it was for preventing black marketing he introduced these essential commodities, wherein he fixed the prices of those commodities. Then revenue was collected in cash and not in kind. So this cash collection of revenue becomes important. Then he imposed jizya, that is the tax on non-Muslims. Then officers called Diwan-e-Riyasat were appointed in the offices called Shahana-e-Mandi to standardize the market. Yeah friends, this Diwan-e-Riyasat, that is the officers of the market, and Shahana-e-Mandi, those two are worth remembering. Then merchants should have to register themselves in the office before selling their goods at the fixed rates. So every merchants, they have to register in Shahana-e-Mandi before selling. Then he constructed Alai Darwaza, that is the palace of 1,000 pillars, and the fort of Siri. So Siri fort and Alai Darwaza, these two are worth remembering. Then come to next, the Tughlaq dynasty. Friends, Tughlaq dynasty was founded by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq or Ghazi Malik, and Tughlaq's policy was harsh against Mongols. So unlike Alauddin Khilji and others who tried to buffer themselves from Mongol invasion, his policy was straightforward, and it was a forward policy, and he defeated several Mongolian rulers, and he tortured them to death also. Then he also started construction of Tughlaqabad fort. So Tughlaqabad fort, it goes to the credit of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Then he gave more importance to postal arrangements, then judicial, then irrigation, agriculture and police reforms. So Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was a great administrator, so that fact is also worth remembering. Then Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Friends, Muhammad bin Tughlaq stood for administrative and political unity of India. So this administrative and political unity is one of the unique things of those times, and that was cultivated by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then to fill the empty treasury, he raised taxes in Doab region. So he raised the taxes in the Punjab region, and many people ran away to the forest to avoid heavy taxes, due to which cultivation was neglected and severe food shortage occurred. So this was one of the reasons for lack of foods during the reigns of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then he shifted his capital from Delhi to Devagiri. So this is one of the important fact, and we are reading this since our primaries. Then he introduced the copper currency system, and the value of currency dropped suddenly, and he had to withdraw the copper token currency. So these are some of the facts regarding Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then come to next, the Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Friends, he withdrew all takawi, that is the agricultural loans granted by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then he collected 4 important taxes, that is the karas, that is 1/10 of produce of the land, then comes 1/5 of the war booty, then jizya, that is the poll tax, and then zakat, that is tax on Muslims for specific religious purposes. Friends, here we have to note it down, that is special taxes were levied for Muslims also, not only for non-Muslims. Then he constructed 150 wells, 100 bridges and 50 dams, and also dug many irrigation canals. So he was a great administrator, and Firoz Shah Tughlaq's name, it stands in the administrative history of India at the apex. Then he constructed towns like Firozabad, Hisar, then Jaunpur and Fatehabad. So Firozabad, Hisar, Jaunpur and Fatehabad, we have to remember. Then he established hospitals, that is Darul Shafa, and marriage bureau, that is Diwani Kirat, and an employment bureau. So friends, he was a great administrator, and almost all the current departments and offices he had established long back. that is the register office for marriages, then government hospitals, then employment exchanges. So all these he had established. Then he also established Diwan-e-Istaqbaq to give financial aid to the poor. So this Diwan-e-Istaqbaq, a charitable trust, is worth remembering. Then Futuhat-e-Firoz Shahi is an autobiography of Firoz Tughlaq. So friends, he was also a writer and he wrote his own life story, that is Futuhat-e-Firoz Shahi. Then he patronized scholars like Ziauddin Barani. So friends, Ziauddin Barani is worth remembering. Then during his reign, several Sanskrit books on medicine, science and arts were translated into Persian. Then Kutab Firoz Shahi, a book dealt with physics, was also written during his reign. So Kutab Firoz Shahi is also worth remembering. Then come to next one, the Sayyid dynasty. Friends, Sayyid dynasty was founded by Khizr Khan and he did not swear in any royal title. So friends, unlike all other rulers, that is the Khiljis, Tughlaqs, then Mamluks and others, Khizr Khan, he was different and he didn't swear in the name of any rulers, be it Iranians, Turks and others. Then he took advantage of disordered situation in India after Taimur's invasion. So friends, during the end of Tughlaq dynasty, Taimur Lem, he invaded India and Khizr Khan, he took the advantage of it to establish his own kingdom in India. Then in 1414 AD, he occupied the throne of Delhi. So only these are the achievements of Khizr Khan, no administrative or art and cultural events. Then Mubarak Shah. Mubarak Shah crushed the local chiefs of Dawab region and Kokars. So this Kokar rebellion is one of the famous events in the history and he curbed them. Then he is the first Sultan ruler to appoint Hindu nobles in the court of Delhi. So he started a secularistic administration. So that is why Mubarak Shah, he takes the credit even before Akbar for a secularistic appointment of nobles. Then he constructed Mubarakbad city on the banks of Jamuna. So on the banks of Yamuna river, this Mubarakbad is constructed and as the name suggests, it was constructed by Mubarak Shah. Then Muhammad Shah, he defeated the ruler of Malwa with the help of Bahulul Lodi, the governor of Lahore. And then he conferred Bahulul Lodi with the title Khan-e-Kanan for helping in defeating the rule of Malwa. Friends, this Khan-e-Kanan is different from Abdul Rahim Khan-e-Kanan, which we had discussed in the last class. And then this Bahulul Lodi, he later goes on to establish his own kingdom, that is the Lodi dynasty. So now come to next, the Lodi dynasty. Bahulul Lodi, he conquered Gwalior, Samtal, Saket and Mewat. And then coming to domestic policies, friends, he was a very simple person and he never sat on the throne and instead opted to sit on the carpet with the nobles. So thereby he got the confidence of the nobles and then he died in 1489. Then after him, Sikandar Shahi, he took up the throne and he set up well organized spy system. Then he developed agriculture and industry. Then he put severe restrictions on Hindus and Sikandar Shah enjoyed Shehnai music. So this fact is very much important in the art and culture perspective. Then a work on music names, that is the Lahjati Sikandar Shahi, was created during his reign. So Lahjati Sikandar Shahi is also worth remembering. So friends, as far as the administration is concerned, Alauddin Khilji, Firoz Shah Tughlaq and Sikandar Shah, these are the people who are worth remembering. So this is all about Delhi Sultanate. Then come to next, Mughals. Friends, beginning with the Babur, that is the Ziauddin Muhammad Babur. He was the descendant of Taimur on his father's side and Chengiz Khan on his mother's side. So his father's and mother's lineage, they originate from famous rulers and expeditionists. So that is worth remembering. Then the first battle of Panipat marked the foundation of Mughal dominion in India. So first battle of Panipat 1526 is worth remembering. Then Babur conquered Delhi and sent his son Humayun to seize Agra. Then Babur announced himself as Emperor of Hindustan. Then in 1527 he fought Rana Sanga in Battle of Kanwa. Then he wrote his memoirs Tuzuk-e-Baburi in Turkey language. So friends, here the Battle of Panipat, Battle of Kanwa and then Tuzuk-e-Baburi, these are important facts regarding Babur. Then Humayun. Humayun had three brothers, that is Kamran, Askari and Hindal. Friends, Kamran, he was bit benevolent and when Akbar was born in a forest, he took all the cares for that young child Akbar. Then Humayun divided the empire among his brothers and this is what backfired Humayun. And then in 1540, the Battle of Bilgram or Ganges or also known as Battle of Kannauj, Humayun fought Sher Khan or Sher Shah Suri and he lost the kingdom there and then he wandered all over India and then he sought the help of Safavid ruler, that is the Iranian rulers, and then he was able to defeat Kamran and Askari and then to take over the kingdom. and later he died in his palace. Then come to next, Sher Shah Suri. Friends, Sher Shah Suri was a great administrator just like Firoz Shah, Alauddin Khilji and others. So his administration is worth memorizing here. Sher Shah's empire was divided into 47 sarkars, and sarkars were further divided into parganas. Friends, before that, Sher Shah's ministry, it was clearly demarcated, that is Diwan-e-Wizarat, Diwan-e-Rizalat, Diwan-e-Insha, Diwan-e-Wakia-Navis. So all these are various ministers for finance, defense, then military enrollment, then religious ministry, media ministry. So all these were clearly demarcated in the rule of Sher Shah. Then each sarkar was further divided into various parganas, and in charge of various officers were Shikdar, that is a military officer, then Amin, the land revenue officer, then Fotedar, the treasurer, and then Karkuns, the accountants. So these officers and math the following we have to remember here. Then Iktas, various administrative units were called Iktas. So Iktas, it is a descendant from Iqtadari system which was started during the Delhi Sultanate. Then under Sher Shah, the land survey was sensibly done. So he gave great importance for land survey, and then all cultivable lands were classified into three classes, that is good, middle and bad fertile lands, and the taxation was fixed accordingly. Then the state's share was 1/3 of average production, and it was paid in cash or crop. So here either cash or crop can be used to pay the tax. And then Sher Shah introduced new copper coins called dam, and friends, he also has the credit of introducing rupaya, that is the current Indian currency. Then Sher Shah also has developed the communications by laying 4 important highways, and friends, he also has the credit for constructing the Grand Trunk Road. And then other highways are Sonargaon to Sindh, then Agra to Berhampur, and Jodhpur to Chittor, and Lahore to Multan. So he had a great influence on public work department just like Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Then come to next one, Akbar. Friends, in 1556, in the second battle of Panipat, Akbar defeated Hemu, or the Hemchandra Vikramaditya. So this confirmed the reign of Akbar in Delhi. Then Akbar appointed Raja Mansingh and Raja Bhagwan Das in the senior position of Mughal administration. So friends, Raja Mansingh, then Bhagwan Das, then Birbal, then Todarmal. So all these appointments, it depicts the Rajput policy of Akbar. Then though the majority of Rajput states surrendered to Akbar, the Ranas of Mewar continued to confront. So friends, here the Rana Pratap Singh and Battle of Haldighati is worth remembering. Then he abolished pilgrim tax and later the jizya. So he abolished both the pilgrim tax and jizya, which were specifically imposed on the non-Muslims. Then in 1575, Akbar built Ibadat Khana, that is the house of worship, at his new capital Fatehpur Sikri. So friends, the new capital Fatehpur Sikri and Ibadat Khana, those are worth remembering. Then he did not like the intrusion of Muslim ulemas in the political matters. So he was a secular ruler and he didn't listen to any of the Muslim priests in administration. Then in 1582, he propagated a new religion called Din-e-Ilahi, or the divine faith. Then the land revenue system was called Zabti or Bandobast system or Dasala system. So friends, what is this Zabti, Bandobast or Dasala system? Here the revenue was fixed on average yield of land measured on the basis of previous 10 years. So on the previous 10 years, what was the average yield? On the basis of that, the taxes were fixed. Then the land was divided into 4 categories, that is the Paloj, Parauti, Chachar and Banjar. So friends, these terms, they are present in the NCERTs. You can refer for more details there. Then payment of revenues was generally in cash. So he preferred cash, not both. Then his Mansabdari system is immemorial. So friends, the Zats and Sawar system is immemorial, and I hope all of you have learnt the Zats and Sawar system. So this is all about Akbar. Then come to next, Jahangir. And friends, unlike Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb, they were interested in expansion of the territory and other art and culture related issues. So they were not interested in improving the administrative efficiency. So now we look into Jahangir. He defeated and imprisoned his son Khusro Mirza. Yes friends, he defeated his own son, and then he was an expansionist and he extended his territory in all the directions. Then he also beheaded Guru Arjan, that is the 5th Sikh Guru and one of the supporters of Khusro Mirza. Yes friends, Sikhs, Rajputs, then Deccan Sultans, so all of them were expedited and defeated by Jahangir, Shah Jahan and others. Then come to next, Shah Jahan. His Deccan policy was more successful, that is he defeated the forces of Ahmadnagar and seized it. Then both Bijapur and Golconda signed a treaty with the emperor. So friends, he didn't conquer them, he just defeated them. So this was bit successful because there were no rebels to rebel back against Shah Jahan. Then Shah Jahan engraved 4 Mughal provinces in the Deccan, that is Khandesh province, Berar province, Telangana and Daulatabad. So these were the provinces which were ruled indirectly by Shah Jahan but directly by the officers who were appointed by him. Then Aurangzeb, he assumed the title Alamgir, that is the world conqueror. So he was called the Alamgir I. Then in his first 10 years of reign, his military campaigns were a great success. So he expanded his territory basically in the South India, wherein he defeated and conquered the Bearers, Baris, Nizam Shahis and Adil Shahis. Then in the same time Shivaji, the Maratha ruler, carved an independent Maratha kingdom. So friends, Shivaji and Aurangzeb, they were two alter egos of those times. So Shivaji and Aurangzeb is worth remembering in these 1658 to 1707 era. Then there ensued a direct confrontation between them which economically drained Mughal empire. So this is all about Mughals. Then come to next. Later Mughals. Friends, after Aurangzeb, almost all the rulers, they were not so strong, but however, some of the important incidents and some of their important events are worth remembering. First one, Bahadur Shah I or the Shah Alam I, he released Shahuji, that is the son of Shambhaji, that is the grandson of Shivaji. So friends, this event, it neutralized some tensions between Marathas and Mughals to some extent. Then the next famous ruler was Farrukh Siyar. So friends, his rule, it saw the ascendancy of manipulative Sayyid brothers. So Sayyid brothers rose to prominence during Farrukh Siyar, and during Farrukh Siyar's reign, Furman to English East India Company was given. But however, this was opposed by Murshid Quli Khan, the then provincial ruler of Bengal. Then Muhammad Shah or Muhammad Shah Rangila. Friends, he was called Rangila because he loved the luxurious life. Then he got rid of Sayyid brothers. So those manipulative Sayyid brothers, they were got rid. Then invasion of Nadir Shah of Persia in 1739. So that took place during the Muhammad Shah Rangila's rule. And then came Ahmad Shah Bahadur. So friends, the son of Muhammad Shah, his minister Safdar Jung was responsible for Mughal civil war. So the minister Safdar Jung, he poisoned some of the ears of nobles against Ahmad Shah, and that led to civil war. Friends, this Safdar Jung, he is a famous administrator, and there are hospitals in North India in the name of Safdar Jung, that is Safdar Jung hospitals. Then Alamgir II, he was murdered by a conspiracy of Imadul Mulk and his Maratha associate Sadashivrao Bahu. Yes friends, from Alamgir II onwards, Marathas, they played a prominent role in the personal administration of Mughals. So this is one of the greatest events of Indian history. Then Shah Jahan III, he was overthrown after the third battle of Panipat by Prince Mirza Jawan Bakht. Yes friends, the third battle of Panipat between Marathas and Ahmad Shah Abdali is also worth remembering along with Shah Jahan III. Then Shah Alam II, he was famous for the Battle of Buxar, and he made some attempts to keep British at bay. So Battle of Buxar is worth remembering in the name of Shah Alam II. Then Bahadur Shah II, the last ruler, and he was imprisoned by British after the 1857 revolt. So these are some of the rulers of later Mughals. Then come to next one, the literatures of ancient India. Friends, nowadays not only the books and authors, what is contained in the book, even those are being asked by UPSC, but however, it is insane to go through every book and what it is containing within. So go through the names. If you get some idea about the meaning of the name of the book, and then if you are able to take a guess, then let the guess go as they go. But however, it is very insane to prepare on them exclusively. Then coming to the book names and the authors, Mudra Rakshasa, it was written by Vishakadatta. Then Rajatarangini, Kalhana. Friends, Rajatarangini means the river of kings. So kings after kings, they ruled Kashmir. So that is what contained in Rajatarangini. Then Katha Sarita Sagar. So friends, various stories, they form seas, and that is why the name Katha Sarita Sagar. It was written by Somadeva. Then Kama Sutra. Friends, as the name suggests, it is related to sexualism, and it was written by Vatsyayana. Then Prashnottara Malika. Friends, it is question and answer between a guru and a disciple, and it was written by Amogha Varsha. Then Swapnava Savadattam. Friends, something related to dream, and that was written by Basa. Then Buddha Charita. Yes, it is history on Buddha, and it was written by Ashwagosha. Then Natya Shastra Bharata, a famous book. Then Abhignana Shakuntala, and then Vikram Orvashi, and then Raghu Vamsham. Friends, these are the dramas, and we know most of these dramas, and it was written by the famous Kalidasa. Then Amara Kosha, so it was written by Amara Simha. Friends, Kosha means basically a dictionary. Then Pancha Siddhantika and then Brihat Samhita. So these were written by Varamira. So these are related to mathematics and physics. Then come to more books. Surya Siddhanta and Aryabhatiya. Friends, these were written by Aryabhata. So Surya Siddhanta means basically the solar studies or the astrophysics. Then Panchatantra, it was written by Vishnu Sharma. Friends, Panchatantra means those moral tales. Then Niti Sara, again the moral stories, it was written by Kamandaka. Then Aihole Prashasti, friends, the inscription of Aihole, it was written by Ravi Kirti. It is not a book, it is a Prashasti or an inscription. Then Indica of Megasthenes, friends, this is a travelogue. Then Arthashastra, that is a treatise on financial administration, written by famous Kautilya. Then Charaka Samhita, it was written by Charaka. Yes, the name suggests the same way. Then Leelavati, it was written by Bhaskara. Friends, Leelavati, it is something related to mathematics. It might be arithmetic book. Then Harsha Charita, that is the story of Harshavardhana. Then Kadambari, friends, Kadambari is something like a dramatic story. Then Nagananda, then Ratnavali. So all these are written by Harshavardhana himself. So Harsha's book, Harsha Charita, Kadambari, Nagananda and Ratnavali, they are remembered. Then Jayadeva's Gita Govinda. So something related to Bhagavad Gita. Then Veerasena's Navaratna. So these are some of the books. Then come to more books, that is the Gata Saptasati. So this was written by Hala. Friends, Gata Saptasati means those 7 incidents that happened. Then Niti Sara, Kamandaka, we had seen it. Then Ashtadhyayi, friends, Panini. Friends, Ashtadhyayi means 8 chapters that have to be studied. Then Mahabhasya, written by Patanjali. Friends, Mahabhasya means basically it is a commentary. Bhasya means commentary. We had seen this earlier also. Then Naishadha Charita. Friends, it was written by Sri Harsha. Then Mrichakatika, it was written by Shudraka. Friends, Mrichakatika means a clay cart, and I hope you know the story of the Shudraka's Mrichakatika. So these are some of the books of ancient India. Then come to next, medieval India. Friends, Taj-ul-Masir, it was written by Hasan Nizami. Then Tabakat-i-Nasiri, so it was written by Minhaj-us-Siraj. Then Tariq-i-Firoz Shahi, friends, it is related to Firoz Shah, that is the most important work of Sultanate period, and Fatwa-i-Jahandari. So both of them, Tariq-i-Firoz Shahi and Fatwa-i-Jahandari, it was written by Ziauddin Barani, the court poet of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Then Futuh-us-Salatin, the establishment of Bahmani kingdom. So this Salatin is related to Bahmani, so N for N. So remember likewise, it was written by Isami. So Bahmani, Isami and then Salatin. So you can remember likewise. Then Tariq-i-Firoz Shahi. So it was written by Afif. So Tariq-i-Firoz Shahi was written by 2 people, that is Ziauddin Barani and Afif. Then Tariq-i-Mubarak Shahi, it was written by Yahya Sirindi. Friends, Mubarak Shahi means the story of Mubarak Shah. Then Akbar Nama, Abul Fazal, the famous book, it is also given in NCERTs. Then Tabakat-i-Akbari, that is written by Nizamuddin Ahmad. Friends, Tabakat means the administration related thing. Then Muntakab al-Tawarik, it was written by Badayuni. Then Badshah Nama or Padshah Nama, it was written by Abdul Hamid Lahori. Friends, Badshah Nama means the tenets required for a ruler. Then Muntakab-ul-Lubad, which was basically written during Aurangzeb's reign, and it was written by Kafi Khan. So friends, Kafi Khan, he lived during Aurangzeb, so that is worth remembering. Then come to next one, Mirat-i-Ahmadi. So this was written by Ali Muhammad Khan. Then Padmavat or the Padmini, the wife of Ratan Singh and King of Chittor. So this was written by Malik Muhammad Jayasi. I don't think you will be having difficulty in remembering Padmavat because there was a movie. Then Tughlaq Nama, then Tariq-i-Alai, then Nu Sifir and Ashika. Friends, these were written by famous Amir Khusro. Friends, Tughlaq Nama, it is a biography. Then Tariq-i-Alai, then Nu Sifir and Ashika, they are mostly related to music. Then Marwar Ra Pargani Re Vigat. Friends, here Marwar means it is basically a Rajput treatise. So it was written by Munta Nainsi. Then Tuzuk-i-Jahangiri, the autobiography of Jahangir, written by Jahangir himself. Friends, not many rulers, they wrote the autobiography, and if they have written, we will remember them. Then Tariq-i-Sher Shahi, it was written by Abbas Sharwani. So it was not an autobiography, it was written by others. Then come to next, Tuzuk-i-Babri or the Babur Nama, again an autobiography. So Jahangir and Babur, they wrote autobiographies. Then Shahjahan Nama, it was written by Inayat Khan. Once again, it is a biography, not autobiography. Then Daya Baga, it was written by G. Mutavahana. Friends, G. Mutavahana is a famous author, so he is also worth remembering. Then come to next, the Chandayan, it was written by Maulana Daud. Then Humayun Nama by Gulbadan Begum, again a biography. Then Bhavarta Deepika by Gyaneshwar. Friends, basically this might be a spiritual book. Then Zafarnama or Rihla of Ibn Battuta. Friends, Rihla of Ibn Battuta is a travelogue. Periya Puranam, it was written by Shekkilar. Friends, Periya Purana means a big story and it is a Tamil treatise and it is a part of Tirumurai. Then Sursagar, it was written by Surdas. Basically the life of Krishna is being depicted here. Then History of Aurangzeb, that is the fall of Mughal Empire, Jadunath Sarkar. Then Muhammad Ghazni by Muhammad Habib. Then Administration of Delhi Sultanate by I.H. Qureshi. Then Foundation of Muslim Rule in India, that is A.B.M. Habibullah. Then Agrarian System of Mughal India, Irfan Habib. So friends, these you can mainly use for mains. These will not be asked in prelims, but all others you have to remember in the prelims perspective. So this is all about Mughals. Then come to next, Rajputs. Friends, Rajputs began after the tripartite struggle between the Palas, Pratyaras and Rashtrakutas for the place called Kannauj. So after that, the splinter groups of Palas, Pratyaras and Rashtrakutas, they came to be known as the Rajputs. So basically the Pratyaras and Palas, they settled in the regions of eastern India and Rashtrakutas basically in the southern India. Now come to the Tomars of Delhi. Friends, Anangapala founded the Tomar dynasty in 8th century AD. Then Anangapala II was the founder of Dilli ka Puri, which eventually became Delhi. So Tomars, they were the founders of Delhi city. Then Anangapala II is credited to have established and populated Delhi during his reign in 11th century. Then Anangapala Tomar II was succeeded by his grandson Prithviraj Chauhan. So Prithviraj Chauhan, a famous ruler who fought the Battle of Terrain, he is worth remembering. Then Chauhans of Delhi and Ajmer. Friends, they captured Ujjain from the Paramaras of Malwa in the early part of 12th century and they shifted their capital to Delhi. So after Tomars, Chauhans under Prithviraj Chauhan, they ruled Delhi. Then come to next, the Rathods of Kannauj. Friends, the Rathods established themselves on the throne of Kannauj from 1090 to 1194 AD. Then Jaichand was the last great ruler of this dynasty and he was killed in the battle of Chandawar in 1194 by Muhammad Ghori. So friends, here the Tomars of Delhi and Dilli ka Puri and Anangapal II and then Prithviraj Chauhan and then defeat of Malwas by Prithviraj Chauhan and then Jaichand of Rathod and battle of Chandawar. These are 3 to 4 facts which are worth remembering, and if you catch on these 3 to 4, then the whole Rajput idea you will be having. Then come to more facts. The Chandelas of Bundelkhand. Friends, Chandelas, we know that the Khajuraho temple, they originated from these Chandelas. Now they established their kingdom in the 9th century. Then Nanuk, a ruler of small kingdom, was the founder of Chandela dynasty. So this Nanuk, he was the founder. Then the capital city of Chandels was Khajuraho, which was later changed to Mahoba. Then Kalinjar was their important fort. So this Kalinjar was also built by Chandelas. Again, it is worth remembering. Then the Gullas or Sisodias of Mewar. Friends, Guhil was the founder of Guhila dynasty or the Sisodia dynasty. So Guhil is worth remembering. Then Rajput ruler Bappa Rawal laid the foundation of Guhilot dynasty. So friends, the Bappa Rawal, he set the stage and Guhil, he established the full-fledged kingdom. Then Rana Sanga and Maharana Pratap, the Sisodia rulers, they gave tough fight to Mughal rulers. Friends, by this we can say that Rana Sanga and Maharana Pratap, they were the descendants of Mewars or they are also the descendants of Sisodias. Then the Paramaras of Malwa, they declared their independence in the 10th century and Dara was their capital. Then Paramara rulers moved their capital to Mandapdurg or currently Mandu. So friends, Paramaras of Mandu, they are also worth remembering. Then Raja Bhoja was the famous king of Paramaras and he constructed a beautiful lake which was more than 250 square kilometers near Bhopal. Then he set up a college at Dara for the study of Sanskrit literature. So this Dara college for Sanskrit literature and Raja Bhoja are worth remembering. So friends, here Chandelas, then Sisodias, then Paramaras of Malwa. So Malwa, Mewars and Marwars. So all these, they have splintered into Chandelas, then Sisodias, then Chauhans and Taimurs and all others. And today they are in hundreds of clans and families. So this is a brief account on Rajputs. Then come to the last part. Friends, even today we have seen several rulers who ruled India with their own tones and strategies, and before going out of this nation, before going out of their soul, they made a dent of their own on this soil. So what dent you will make? So what impact you will make, and how long you will be remembered? So these rulers, they have been remembered for thousands and thousands of years. And what is your duration of remembrance? So that will depend on what work you do. So plan accordingly and do those extraordinary things, so that the generation after generations, they will remember your name, and they will cherish your nobles, and they will follow in your path, and they will also live up to your expectations. So do it. All the very best. Good luck, friends.